let's get the show on the road. I'd like to welcome our very special guest for our inaugural Det 150 Flying Gators Podcast, the very special, very honorable, and very famous Colonel Moore. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We're really excited. I'm especially personally very excited just to kick off the podcast with you. So,
well, thank you. Thank you, Cadet Gray. And I think some of the adjectives you used, I don't know that anybody outside the 150 thinks that, but that and my mom and my wife. But I appreciate it. And thank you for meeting me here in the stadium. And thanks for running the stadium with me first.
Yes, sir. Running. Yeah, I know. Especially in this Florida heat, can be definitely a task. So,
it wasn't for me.
For those of you who don't know, we just ran Gator Mountains and everything. And if you don't know what Gator Mountain is, hopefully you'll learn soon. But yeah, this is a proper way to start a podcast. So,
awesome.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. This is a new thing we're starting to try out for Det 150. Just keep morale good and just have some special guests, learn some new things, and just have fun. So, again, thank you for having us, and thank you for being here. So, again, let's roll right into it.
Okay, sounds good.
Colonel Moore, for those of you who don't know, is the actual Det 150 commander here at University of Florida for Air Force ROTC. And I say those adjectives because they are legit and they are real. Everyone and everyone's mom and their father and everyone loves Colonel Moore because Colonel Moore is awesome. So, I mean, that's just how it is. So, you know, one of the things that we actually love about Colonel Moore is that he is someone with tons of experience, not just in ROTC, but in life. I personally consider him like a life mentor, and as do many other cadets. So, you know, we'll just jump right into that. You know, being who you are and being a colonel in the Air Force. Congratulations, by the way. This was recently announced. You've been through a lot. You've seen a lot. You've done a lot of life things. You know, just doing your thing as Colonel Moore, being awesome. Just to start off the podcast, what are some things that you think are life lessons that you would not just want cadets to learn about, but just any random viewer to just get the knowledge out there for experience you've had in your life?
Hey, thanks for those words. I think just to answer your question, there's so many different directions we can go, but I think the thing that has been prevailing for me from the very beginning in my journey going into RTC as a cadet myself a long time ago, all the way up until now, I think that to summarize everything that's been, I think, good about my life and my career, I've tried to hit the apex of having a good attitude and max effort in everything I do. Mm-hmm. And I think, of course, I've faltered at times and made mistakes, and everybody does. But just to be relentless pursuit of having a good attitude, regardless of the situation, and putting in effort, just to try to be better for yourself and for everybody you're with.
Try to be the best person you could possibly be.
Absolutely, because what else is there?
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's the best you can do. So why not do it? So one of the things recently that's been along the lines of everyone's minds, especially of late, has been the COVID situation. And, you know, it's been rough for a lot of people, but I think one of the things that has brought opportunity for all of us is the fact that it's an example of adversity hitting life out of nowhere. Like a year ago, actually, we were just starting to have this pandemic, you know, touch everyone's lives, and then, you know, life changed as we know it. And it was just all of a sudden adversity right in your face. So what are some things that you would kind of recommend for dealing with such things just hitting you, whether stress or, you know, deaths in the family, or just, you know, work going bad, health, you know, just sudden adversity? What do you use to combat that?
Sure. So great question. And of course, you know, there are always people that are go through things that I haven't been through, and so any advice I can give is just pertains to myself. And there are some people who have gone through certain situations that I'll never have to endure, and I'm thankful for that. But also, I recognize that the best I could ever do or advise is just advice for situations and scenarios. That being said, not to get into a lot of catchphrases, but you know, I absolutely believe that you know, the whole mindset that when life's easy, do hard things. That way, when life gets hard, it's kind of easy. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that when the COVID hit and we all had to completely change the way we do things, I think that what made at least my own kind of resiliency in my family is, you know, we definitely had to check a lot of the norms that we had before, and then look for opportunities how to do things a little bit better and differently, but also retain the things that we were already doing regularly. So for me, on a personal note, I mean, you know, fitness is a huge part of my life, just so I can honestly, so I can be all that I can to my wife, my kids, myself, to this detachment.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to have to hold back. And so I take fitness pretty personal, just because I want to be able to do the things that I want to be able to do. And so when COVID hit, it was on the fitness side of things. As an example, I was able to continue doing what I was already doing. And I think that maintaining that piece of it was pretty powerful for me. I think the second part is whenever adversity hits, especially the unexpected kind that's just massive, I think that you gotta take a step back, assess the situation, and then you got to figure out what those opportunities are. And it's easy to say what you can't do. I think the hard part is to look into the situation and realize what you can do.
Yeah.
And so for us, just looking at the detachment, for example, when COVID hit, between the federal laws, state laws, and University of Florida, and honestly, the biggest priority, keep people safe, there's only so much we could do. But it didn't mean that we couldn't do anything. And so I think sitting down in this example with the cadre, our staff, headquarters, and finding out at the university level what we were allowed to do, I think we, keeping everybody's safety in mind, try to get kind of aggressive about doing as much as we could in person safely, and then recognize the things we couldn't, and then just do our best.
I don't know the exact quote who coined it, but healthy body, healthy mind, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. And you embody that for sure, sir. So
thanks.
Actually, it's a perfect segue into one of our questions from a cadet.
Okay.
What is one of your favorite, if not the favorite, exercise that you like to do?
Farmer's walk.
Farmer's walk.
Hands down.
I'm not sure that I recall what that is. Is that like a bear crawl or?
No, farmer's walk. Hands down my favorite. I pretty much do it every day. In fact, I did the hardest one I've ever done yesterday. You basically just pick up anything that's heavy, one in each hand, and you just walk.
Okay.
Yesterday was, I had a 71-pound kettlebell in each hand and walked a mile. And it at first sounds like it's just walking, but the amount of tension it puts on your body, but also it's good for your posture. It exacerbates every workout you could ever do. And it just, I think in order to do that, it just, at some point, it's not about physical anymore. It's just about mental toughness.
Mental toughness.
Yeah. So a lot of different things. I love running. I love lots of different things. The trails, and honestly, probably to answer your question, running trails in Hawaii is the best thing ever.
Oh, Hawaii.
But
I could only dream.
but
One day.
But besides that, this actual exercise, a very rigorous farmer's walk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have to put that on my list of things to do.
Do it.
I've never tried it, but I try to keep healthy. But I don't know. Working out's fun, but that sounds intense.
Yeah,
I'll have to put that on.
It's good.
So speaking of COVID and managing adversity, I know a lot of things that I personally saw on the internet, social media, was that a lot of people kind of started up new hobbies over the pandemic. Staying at the home, staying in a confined area, just fun things to keep your mind occupied and maybe learn some stuff. I know fitness, you were saying, is kind of one of the things you did. Like a couple of my best friends and I started surfing. Over summer. We learned that during the pandemic.
Awesome.
Is there any hobbies that you kind of like to get yourself into other than fitness? I know fitness is probably number
Sure.
one, but any other hobbies that you like to do on your free time?
Yeah, so just in general, pretty much everything outdoors. I love kayaking. Paddleboarding is probably my favorite. Love ultimate frisbee. When I get the chance, my favorite sport of all time is snow skiing. Pretty much everything outside, and now these past 3 years I've grown to love gator ball too. But just being active, and again I think one of the most enjoyable, peaceful things is, and this is probably going to sound a little cheesy, but just hiking in the mountains with my wife is probably my most favorite thing to do.
Which mountains?
Mountains. So
I know you traveled the world.
Yeah,
for those of you who don't know, Colonel Moore has traveled all around the country and the world as well.
Right.
Stretching to Australia, deep under. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of cool things. And
well, for that comment specifically, anywhere in a mountain on a trail with my wife is the best. As far as what specific hikes or places, pretty much any trail in Hawaii. Rocky Mountains, Estes Park is ridiculous. I will say there's a couple times I borderline almost got lost in Papua New Guinea and Micronesia, and there's something unbelievably surreal and amazing being in that world, kind of doing some cool stuff is unbelievable.
Yeah, so I know cadets have probably heard this tons of times before, but for any special guests that are watching that aren't cadets, even cadets, I'm sure some of them have forgotten, and some of them might not even know. Do you have any comments of your experience there? Any life lessons you learned? that you'd like to reiterate?
Yeah, there's way too many for how short this podcast is going to be. I'll just say that if you haven't had a chance to get out and see the world, it opens up your eyes to some of the most amazing things that are out there and some of the greatest atrocities. And I think for me personally, being part of the Air Force in America and doing what we can to make a difference in the world, it's unbelievable to see other countries, to work with the host partner nations, to build partnership capacity, to work with locals, all under the guise of helping each other out.
Okay.
And it's phenomenal. And then of course you get into the other countries and what life's like, the actual different cultures. You can read about it, you can talk about it, but until you go experience that stuff firsthand, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And so I encourage everybody to really look for opportunities to do that, because there's just nothing like it.
Yeah, like seeing stuff with your own eyes is different than reading about it.
Yeah,
in a
it's
tabloid or something.
it's fantastic.
Yeah. Was that your favorite place you've been to, or?
Favorite place? I'm maybe Papua New Guinea because of the people.
Okay.
Were phenomenal, and it was unexpected. Favorite place in the world? Either Hawaii or Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, Australia.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is dying to move to Australia, and it's kind of annoying because Australia's very far. But I do want to visit there one day as well. It seems like a pretty cool place. So, in terms of traveling the world, I'm sure from a young age you kind of had the motivation to do that. Was the Air Force like one of those journey ways to do that, or did you join the Air Force for different reasons as well?
Yeah, absolutely not. I always was intrigued, I guess, about travel, but it didn't necessarily motivate me. When I was in college, it's a longer story we probably have time for. We have to do podcast version 2 for that.
Okay.
But when I finally kind of grew up a little bit, I was a 250 as a cadet, and started my RTC journey, and very quickly realized how much I loved RTC. And nobody in my family was military, and so it was all new to me. And both the brethren and the fellowship that I felt as a cadet, then going on to graduation and commissioning and getting in the Air Force, felt the same thing with my peers in the Air Force.
Okay.
It's just been such a blessing for myself and my family to be part of that family within the Air Force. And I think that journey has been phenomenal. And then you throw the travel thing. I mean, my career field at ICBMs, it wasn't until I had been in the Air Force for roughly, I think, about 14 years before I had an opportunity to really travel. And before that, the most exotic life got was California, and that was pretty cool too. But then getting out to be a country desk officer for PACAF really opened my eyes up, not just to, like I said before, the other countries in the world, but kind of broadly more of the kind of stuff that our country and our Department of Defense is doing in a good way. It's pretty awesome.
The reason why I asked is because through my experience at college, especially, I've met some new friends and friends from childhood as well, that they go to college, they grow up, they leave high school, and they have an issue finding themselves in terms of like what they want to do, like what their purpose is in life.
Right.
And I think that's a widespread kind of issue that a lot of people have, especially young students. And so some people, I feel like you have something to say about in terms of discovering who you are and what you want to do and finding that. Like, do you have any words of wisdom, I guess, that you could say for people that don't know exactly what they want to do, but kind of have a general gist, but are kind of getting lost? Because that could be a lot of stress for someone.
Absolutely, sure. So my take on it is your purpose is wherever you are right now. Make a difference. You might not be able to change the world, but you can change someone's world, and that could be in the moment. That could be with one person. It could be with a whole genre, a group of people. But looking for opportunities to serve, and I'll tell you, as I've gone through and lived my life, I think I've figured out that the closer I get to happiness is the closer I get to putting myself last,
Okay.
right? And so, not to say that I neglect things for myself. I have a really good time, but I've just found the more I'm doing things that I'm solely interested in, the less happy I get, and the more I find ways to to take care of my family, to take care of the cadets here,
Yeah.
and really honestly to serve and to put yourself last. It honestly, authentically brings more joy to me than I think anything else could.
I think happiness is in tandem with love, and love is probably the strongest form of emotion that we will ever experience. So I can agree with that. Family, number one. Family is always so special, and just put others before yourself is also just, it's such a genuine feeling, and like compassion. You know, you're just putting that forward and just being the epitome of compassion and doing that. It's really an amazing thing.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing. I totally agree with you. And just on the purpose thing, I think, and I often still get caught up in careers and jobs and what's the right thing to do. And I think that it's where we can go down the wrong road as people is to intermix the two and think that I have to choose the right career in order to fulfill my purpose. And I do that too sometimes. But I think that the more right question to ask yourself is not what you do, but why you're doing what you're doing. You know?
Search for the why. Once you find the why, you know the how.
Then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in the Air Force, if you're doing any job or not even working. I mean, if you have that why, and you can be in a job that doesn't necessarily feel like the purpose is being met of your life, go find your purpose. Like there's always an opportunity to make a difference in the world.
Yeah. Once you find that why, it makes everything easier, I feel.
Agreed.
So, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Colonel Moore is sadly breaking our hearts by leaving Det 150 shortly. But care to comment on anything you're about to do? Where you're going?
I would if I knew, but I still don't know where I'm going to go.
Not yet.
Yep. I don't know where. I don't know when.
Maybe in the next episode of the podcast in part 2.
So as soon as I figure that out, I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I do have a few questions from cadets that they've been dying to get answered. So what better time than to do it in the podcast? Some of them are really fun. So for 400s, you all know Tombstone, the movie.
Yes.
You love bringing it up.
I do.
And it's a great movie. I fully concur. My dad loves those type of movies, like Clint Eastwood, all that.
Yeah.
All that good jazz. What's another movie you recommend, other than Tombstone?
Other than Tombstone? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Tombstone, Braveheart, Gladiator, Spaceballs, Tommy Boy. Do you want me to keep going?
You can stop, sir.
All right, okay.
That's plenty enough.
All right.
Sounds like you're a movie enthusiast.
I enjoy movies.
I love movies as well. Gladiator is probably one of my favorites. It's a family tradition. We watch that all the time.
Awesome.
If it's on the TV, we have to put it on.
Right.
So if you haven't watched Gladiator, you should definitely watch Gladiator and Tombstone as well. Also, favorite destination, we already covered that. So for running, working out, what is your go-to song or playlist? Or band, for that matter? Or do you not listen to music you like? Feel the BPM, you know?
Yeah, definitely music all the time.
Okay.
I think I really just rotate between 3 different stations on Pandora. I go between, I think it's called Jungle Radio, which is really ex-ambassadors type music.
Did you see them live here?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think was that the year before you came, or?
It might have been.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to do it out west, because they were near Denver and I was in Wyoming. I didn't get a chance to go. But I like their kind of music. I like Lecrae and Andy Mineo quite a bit, and then last is 90s rock alternative, because that's when I was in high school.
Okay. Yeah, get some nostalgia going.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, we like to listen to all type of things here at Det 150. If you ask the cadets, the bandwidth in terms of the range, in terms of like who listens to what and when, it's pretty broad. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, we're coming close to the time that we have for today. I mean, those are some of the questions. There's plenty of more, but if you're willing and able to, we'd love to have you back again.
Anytime.
And maybe not in the sun, because this heat is brutal.
Yeah.
I'm probably already getting sunburn as we speak, getting yelled at for not putting sunscreen on. But thank you, sir, for coming out. Hopefully that anyone listening has enjoyed this and is looking forward to hearing back from you, hopefully again. And then we'll go into more of the details of the stories you had to tell. Hopefully know where you're going next, and then we'll have a nice send-off through that. But yeah, so as you can see, we're here in the swamp. This is a Det 150 Flying Gators podcast with a very special guest, Colonel Moore, the famous special guest that is. I could keep going, and I would, sir. I definitely would, but for sake of time, I'm just going to stop there.
All right.
Again, thank you so much, sir, and I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully catch you next time on the next episode of the Flying Gators podcast. Thank you all, and have a wonderful day, and do good things.
Thanks, Cadet Gray. Do good things.